Today I'm being a hater, and I will be focusing on the worst designer bags of 2024 in my humble opinion. I've got reasons that range from personally they're not doing it for me visually, all the way to the functionality, or it's not good value for money, or whatever else, okay? There is a slew of reasons as to why these 10 bags have qualified to be on this list. Guys, if you're new here, my name is Cassie and I'm a self-diagnosed luxury addict. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so if you like luxury fashion, then you're probably going to love it here. So head on there, subscribe, turn on the bell, become a member of our luxury addicted family. When are we going to rehab? Never. Disclaimer, if you own any of these bags that I'm going to be talking about today, forgive me. This is between me and the bag. This isn't between me and you. I'm happy you're here. Okay, this is just between me and an inanimate object. Okay, so really think about it. Who's got the problem here? It's me. But anyway, we're going to start off with bag number one, and bag number one is the Hermès, I think it's called the Balouzi. I'm very passionate about de-influencing this bag because I almost fell for it. I was almost out here texting my Hermès SA going, next time I'm in, let's have a gander. Okay, I almost fell into the trap and I don't want you falling into it. It is a shapeless sack. This has zero structure. I don't know what you think they did to this bag to give it a bit of oomph, to make it qualify as a bag, but they didn't do it. That is an unlined silk Hermès scarf that somebody has found. And I said, the best thing about this is the little leather piece that somehow attaches this sack together. There is no lining, okay? Think of the nightmares that this bag comes with. You spill something inside. It's got no shape. You put 3 things in there. Look at that, Saggy McSaggerson. That's not cute. That's not fun, okay? The fabulous, glorious little tropical print on the outside isn't distracting from the fact that the shape itself is sad. It really is. And listen, I'm not a big DIY girl. Like, I'm a very much like anything for an easy life. If I can buy it made, all the better, right? And so I know that sometimes there's people that are like, oh, you can make that, you can make that. This one you can make. This one, get yourself a square, a 90 by 90, or whatever sodding sizes they come in, and tie a knot in each corner, and then tie one big knot in the middle. Bob's your uncle, you've got this bag. And look at the sodding price of it. This bag is 2,000 something. That's, yes, 4 figures there. Yeah, exactly. You weren't expecting that. Absolutely not. I can talk about Hermès when it comes to quality and all of that business, and fair enough, not all of the designs are for me. Some of them maybe are a bit simple, some of them I love. Great, fabulous. This one, don't do it to yourself. And if none of those reasons are helping you steer away from this bag, look at how delicate it is. Oh my gosh, God forbid it snags on something. God forbid you are within a metre of a child that has sticky hands. Good luck. It is just, it's an absolute nightmare waiting to happen, and save your money, please. Bag number 2, the Chanel Classic Flap. How could I do this video and not talk about this bag? If you are seriously considering this bag and you cannot be convinced of another colour, another style from the Chanel, you want a black Chanel Classic Flap, I implore you to have a gander and look pre-loved, because even if you want it to be in like pristine condition, you can find some on resale pre-loved websites that are brand new levels that are cheaper than spending 10 grand in store. I just can't deal with the 10 grand of it all. Not for a Chanel Classic Flap. Like we've talked about this time and time again, Cassie, we don't need to go through it. Okay, obviously we also know that if you want to go down the vintage route, you also get your 24 karat gold plated hardware, which now it's gold toned hardware and all of that. However, I also get that if you're like, no, I don't want the vintage styles because there is a certain style that comes with buying a vintage Chanel bag. I want the new look of the bag, then like I said, there's still a few of those floating around. I would also say I understand if you want the in-store experience, if you want that sort of taste of Chanel from an end-to-end purchase experience, right? I am going to ask you to cast your eyes over to greener pastures, and by that I just mean other flat bags that they do, because as soon as a Chanel bag is not in the classic flap section, it is cheaper. Is it cheap? No. Is it cheaper? Yes. So You can get other flap styles. You can find some really, really cool things that still feel very classic. You know, it's not some crazy out there, you know, kooky little design that you have to sort of settle for, but there are other options. Basically, I just have a tough time with the classic flap because it has absolutely no business being that price. The next one is Daniel Lee Bottega bags, and while there are some exceptions to this, basically this is something that happens whenever a new creative director takes over a role, which kind of sucks because it happens a lot, definitely in more recent years. People are staying for like 2 years and sodding off. What tends to happen is a new creative director will come in, decide that they don't want half of those styles anymore. All of those styles they don't want get offloaded into like Outlet or, you know, are marked down and things like this. And I feel like that has happened massively with Daniel Lee's pieces at Bottega. Some pieces have been kept, like the Mini Jodie, and things like that, but if you're interested in the pouch, and some of these do exist but in different kind of versions, but if you're looking at the pouch with chain cassette, things like that, all of those, once again, can be found massively on the resale market or in outlets. The Bottega outlets are teeming with Daniel Lee Bottega pieces. It's a thing that just tends to happen across houses. So I sort of think if you're wanting to invest in one of those pieces now, definitely look at those other places before trying to find a similar or newer variation on the website. And while we're on this topic, Burberry bags, this one, I'm an English gal, okay? This one hits me right in the heart. Burberry's been having issues. Daniel Lee left Bottega, went to Burberry. They've been, you know, reporting that like growth isn't great. I could have told you that. They've got in a new CEO and all of that business because basically they tried to make it Bottega level with Bottega level prices. The price wasn't really clicking. And neither were some of the designs. Now, if we focus on bags specifically, because that's what this video is about, Cassie, there is one bag that I actually thought was good, and that was the Peg bag. I think it's called the Peg bag. It's like a little, it's Bottega Jodie-ish, to be very honest with you. But I thought that it was cute. The rest of the designs were not it, simply put. They are either fine, and then you look at the price and then you're like, well, if you're just fine, you shouldn't be charging that. Or they were just straight up not great. There's one that's in the shape of a Burberry, but it looks like a bum. It looks like a bum. Nobody in the design was like, maybe it looks like an arse. It's not great, and they have all been significantly marked down in sales. In Nordstrom, it went down to like, I think $700. They were charging over $3 grand for that. I know! Shocking. Anyway, so if I can't convince you not to buy their bags because I don't think they're particularly fantastic, worthy, nothing of the sort actually, then they're all really available on a really good discount. Apart from the Peg bag, you know, I told you, I thought the Peg bag was pretty good. Yeah, try to find them in a sale. And don't worry about like, oh my gosh, you know, they'll sell out. They won't. Okay, so the next one is the Dior The Lady 95.22. This is aside from the fact of the hot water that Dior is currently in. I started putting this list together before that, and this one was a very quick one to add to the list. There is a large flaw with this bag, and that is the weight. This bag is heavy. It has metal handles on top of all of the other hardware on the bag. The handles are exceptionally heavy. And there's a lot of leather on that as well, so you're already dealing with a lot of weight. And I have been burned once before with a heavy bag with my Bottega chain cassette, okay? And I will continue to talk about that until I'm 6 foot under, all right? Because it scarred me. I do wonder sometimes, with these luxury houses, do you want to know what? No, I know the answer. I would love if these luxury fashion houses would hire a group of real people to test their products for a week. And just be like, right, I want you to use this bag for a sodding week and come back and tell me your, you know, like if there's any issues, if you had any functionality problems, blah, blah, blah. First of all, it would help them in lowering the amount of returns that they get, right? Because sometimes there's some products and it's just like, this is a universal problem that everybody with this product has been having. I feel like nobody was like, it's like carrying around a kettlebell with you. This next one's a bit of an odd one. So this is the Saint Laurent Le 5 cassette bag. Something that I've been noticing with this, and that is that there are a lot of them. And I don't mean that in the way that like, it's a very popular bag, so you might not want it. I don't mean it in that way. I mean it as in like, so I've been doing live shows for almost a year now, like on and off. And when I do live shows with like Whatnot, they're sort of like affiliated with different pre-loved and resellers and whatever. And then I would like go and choose the items that I want to talk about and like curate a collection, and then that's what I'd like to talk about. But I would see a lot of these bags, and the reason is that they overproduced them. They overproduced them, and then they were just like offloading them into wholesale. So if you want this bag, there's a load of them on all of these sites for like, again, you can get a great deal on them because there's so many. This is all alleged, this is alleged, this was a sodding rumour I heard. Unless there's a very specific colour that you can't find anywhere else, blah, 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 and all of this business. Once again, have a little look around because you might be very pleasantly surprised. The next one are the Miu Miu crochet bags. So they've introduced these for the summer. There is like a little tote and there's like a little sort of version of the Wonder bag. It looks like I made it. Like, it's just, there's no redeeming quality to this. I don't think any of them are lined. Like, this is giving me similar but not as aggressive vibes as the Hermès shapeless sack that we were talking about at the beginning. Because it's like, okay, so this is just a sad little crochet project with then just Miu Miu stitched on it there. I'm going to need a little bit more substance. Once again, especially for the price that you are wanting for it. Okay, the one that looks like the Wonder, at least you have a canvas pouch and you have these little sort of leather details. The one that I have the biggest beef with is this one. You know that you could cough on it and it'll fly away. Like, that is so thin and spindly. It's got absolutely no substance to it. Oh, I lie. It is, does this one have a lining? No, but it has a sort of canvas pouch. So maybe not a cough will blow it away, but sort of a stiff wind might. Yeah, it just seems a bit nothing to me. And for the price of it, and should I be surprised? No, because sister brand Prada was selling that fisherman's tote for, what was it, 1,000, are they still selling the fisherman's tote? 2,000 for that. Don't buy that either. Add that to this list. Goyard totes. I've briefly mentioned this before. I think in terms of Goyard bags, fine, right? Like the Saigon, the little like crossbodies and things like that, all of that, great. My issue with Goyard is really around the totes because the canvas is very thin. If you compare that to a Louis Vuitton canvas, they are on opposite ends of the spectrum. And that's really shocked me because I think Goyard presents itself in a way that feels a lot more exclusive than a brand like Louis Vuitton. There's only so many of the stores worldwide, you have to queue to get in, they make it difficult, okay? You can't buy online, any of that business. So you would expect to feel either the same quality or higher quality with a Goyard tote, and that's not the case. The canvas is very thin. It also means that it wears a lot more quickly than a Neverfull or something like that. It's just the easiest comparison. I've just heard so many horror stories of canvas ripping, like where the stitching is on the bottom, that coming loose, and I'm like, that just should not be happening. I also hate the presentation of Goyard. I don't like how they give it to you with plastic around it. That doesn't feel fabulous. I don't want to see that. I don't need to see the plastic sheath that was covering the handles, you know? So that's just, I have a whole video about my gripes with Goyard, so that's not what this is about. But moving into the Chanel 22, and I kind of have a different reason for this than you might expect, because you may know that I am not a fan of the design, have never been, will most likely never be. However, you know, I've been impressed when I see it out on people and I'm like, yeah, it looks cool on you. Like, I don't know why I sort of hate it so much, but once again, this is a me issue. The thing that I want to sort of say as to why I don't think that this is a great decision is longevity. Because this is a very trendy bag. In the world of Chanel, Chanel tends to lean quite classic and timeless with a lot of their styles. Some of those, so like most of the time you can't really go wrong. But some of them are very, very of the time, and I feel like the Chanel 22 is very of the time. But something like the boy bag has sort of, you know, dipped in and out of favour in terms of trends and styles. Once again, if this is something that doesn't bother you in the slightest, then fine, and you love that Chanel 22 and you love that little rubbish bag looking thing with a pearl thing hanging down, then you go and you rock that bag, okay? But if you do care about things being in or being on trend or whatever, then I don't think this is a good option. I'm also not telling you to buy like, oh, the boring standard whatever Chanel bags, but maybe not this one. But also if this is your style, then go for it and don't listen to me. I'm having a lot of conflict, okay? But I just felt in my soul that I needed to tell you that in 2 or 3 years' time, I don't know if this is going to be a style that people are going to be gravitating towards. How do I say this nicely? Some brands shouldn't make bags. Not all brands need to be doing everything. I don't think I've ever seen a Balmain bag that was nice to look at. I lie. They did send a couple of like Minot Diers down the runway a couple of seasons ago that like, yeah, okay, because they're Minot Diers and because they'll probably be like 2 made and they'll be a disgusting amount of money. Of course they're nice. But the normal bags that should we be interested, we go, Balmain bags on the internet, they're not looking good. In my opinion, and I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just telling you what I think. I will say, you know, reasonably priced. I'll give them that. I don't know what to say about this. I hate the strap on it, but actually I don't find the rest of it that offensive. The logo, you know, I'll never get over the fact that they really, oh, wow. Okay, well the one with the gold trim is the best of all of them. Okay, so none of that. The leather tote, there's this one that's got a check, like it's, the bee, the Bitcoin bee. They also go in the sale, so if you want one, wait for a sale. Hopefully you didn't get angry at me. Let me know if you have any other suggestions that should have been on this list. I'm going to leave a link to another video over here in case you haven't already seen it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. And in the words of my father,
if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you haven't, keep your mouth shut.
I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.